test to you about Euler's tangent function and Euler's theorem.
Hold up.
Hi!
It's the motherfucking Eagle Double G. Snoop Dogg!
Euler's tangent function is denoted by the Greek letter phi. It states that if n is a positive integer, then the phi of n is defined to be the number of positive integers not exceeding to n that are relatively prime to n. There are rules or methods to be used in solving the phi of a function. Rule number 1, if p is a prime number, then the phi of p is equal to p minus 1 since all numbers less than p are relatively prime to p. Example, solve for the phi of 41. Since 41 is a prime number and has two divisors, 1 and 41 itself, we use the formula the phi of p is equal to p minus 1. So 41 minus 1 is equal to 40. Therefore, the phi of 41 is 40. Rule number 2. If a is equal to p raised to n is a prime power, then the phi of p raised to n is equal to p raised to n minus p raised to n minus 1, where p is a prime number and n is an integer. Example, solve for the phi of 49. Since the phi of 49 can be written as the phi of 7 raised to 2, we use the formula the phi of p raised to n is equal to p raised to n minus p raised to n minus 1. So the phi of 49 is equal to 7 raised to 2 minus 7 raised to 2 minus 1 is equal to 42. Therefore, phi of 49 is 42. Rule number 3. If m and n are co-prime and has the greatest common denominator of 1, then the phi of m times n is equal to the phi of m times the phi of n. Rule number 3. Example, if solve for the phi of 35. Since the phi of 35 can be written as phi of 7 times 5, which is the product of two prime numbers, we use the formula phi of m times n is equal to phi of m times phi of n. So, the phi of 35 is equal to phi of 7 times phi of 5. Since 7 and 5 is a prime number, rule number 1 can be applied, which is the phi of p is equal to p minus 1. Therefore, 7 minus 1 times 5 minus 1 is equal to 24. Rule number 4. If the prime factorization of n is given by n is equal to p sub 1, p sub 2, and continues up until p sub k, then the phi of n is equal to n times 1 minus 1 over p sub 1 times 1 minus 1 over p sub 2, and the product continues until 1 minus 1 over p sub k. Example, solve for the phi of 600. Since the only prime factors of 600 are 2, 3, and 5, we use the formula the phi of n is equal to n times 1 minus 1 over p sub 1 times 1 minus 1 over p sub 2, and the product continues until 1 minus 1 over p sub k. Then, we substitute the prime factors of 600 in the formula, and the answer is 160. Therefore, the phi of 600 is 160. Euler's theorem. Let n be a positive integer and let a be an integer that is relatively prime to n. Then a raised to phi of n is congruent to 1 mod n, where phi of n is the Euler's tangent function, which counts the number of positive integers less than or equal to n which are relatively prime to n. Example, show by calculations that Euler's theorem is true for n is equal to 10 and for all a less than n. Solution. All number less than 10 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9, but only 1, 3, 7, and 9 are relatively prime to 10. Thus, the phi of 10 is equal to 4. Now, if we take any number a is equal to 1, 3, 7, or 9 raised to the power of 4, then it is equivalent to 1 modulo 10. Now, we have 1 raised to 4 is equivalent to 1 mod 10. 3 raised to 4 is equal to 81, which is equivalent to 1 mod 10. 7 raised to 4 is equal to 2401, which is equivalent to 1 mod 10. 9 raised to 4 is equal to 6561, which is equivalent to 1 mod. Example. Show by calculations that Euler's theorem is true for a is equal to 5 and n is equal to 36. First, we need to solve for the phi of 36. Since 36 has two prime factors, 2 and 3, we will use the formula that phi of n is equal to n times 1 minus 1 over p sub 1 times 1 minus 1 over p sub 2, and the product continues up until 1 minus 1 over p sub k. Then we substitute the values of a and n into the formula, thus gives us the answer of 12. Since 5 and 36 are relatively prime, therefore 5 raised to 12 is congruent to 1 mod 36. Si Sir Derin may batas, pag di ka nagpas, grado mo impas. Pero pag sinabing pag, nag-comply ka, na kailangan mo magpas. Pero may ginawa ka, sa kinakailangang ipas. Inayos mo ang presentation mo, at sinubmit mo ito, ay pwede na pala ikaw pumasa.